In 1963, the FBI spent 31 months investigating a song, not because it talked about politics, not because it incited violence, but because no one could understand what the singer was saying. That's Louie, and that's just one of the stories of how censorship turned songs into legends. And stay until the end of the video, because the last place will surprise you. The story begins in 1963, when the Kingsmen recorded a version of Louie under terrible technical conditions. Vocalist Jack Ely screamed the lyrics from a distance from the microphone, while the band played loudly around him. The result? Completely unintelligible pronunciation. But that's exactly what created the biggest musical scandal of the decade. Parents began hearing rumors that the lyrics contained profanity and explicit sexual content. The story spread like wildfire through high schools until it reached the U.S. government. The FBI's chief investigator, J. Edgar Hoover, personally initiated a federal investigation. Agents listened to the record at different speeds. The goal: to decipher the alleged obscenities. On May 17, 1965, after 2.5 years of investigation using U.S. government resources, the FBI laboratory reached its final conclusion: unintelligible at any speed. The irony? The censorship only made the song a success. Louie reached second place on the Billboard chart. Young people bought the record not despite the controversy, but because of it. Today, it is one of the most frequently covered songs in rock history. In 1965, The Who released My Generation, an anthem of youthful rebellion with an unforgettable riff by Pete Townshend and the famous line, "I hope I die before I get old." But it wasn't youthful nihilism that made the BBC ban the song. It was Roger Daltrey's stutter. When Daltrey sings, "Why don't you all fade away?" the BBC feared the drawn-out delivery would offend people who stuttered. The public broadcaster refused to play the song, worried that the vocal would be interpreted as mockery. Daltrey himself, who stuttered in real life, confirmed that the delivery was intentional, an imitation of teenage boys who took so many amphetamines that they stuttered when they spoke. The band didn't last long. When My Generation began playing on competing stations and records flew off the shelves, the BBC relented. The song became The Who's signature anthem. The Beatles released Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. One of the tracks, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, featured psychedelic imagery, tangerine trees and marmalade skies, a girl with kaleidoscope eyes. The BBC quickly noticed that the song's initials spelled LSD. Without hesitation, the song was banned for encouraging a permissive attitude toward drug use. John Lennon insisted the inspiration came from a drawing by his son Julian, titled Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. It wasn't about that at all, Lennon said in 1971. But more than 3 decades later, Paul McCartney contradicted this version. Day Tripper, that's about acid. Lucy in the Sky is quite obvious. Regardless of the truth, the band only increased the song's mystique. It became a landmark of psychedelic rock and one of the Beatles' most celebrated tracks. May 31st, 1977. The Sex Pistols released God Save the Queen during Queen Elizabeth II's Silver Jubilee. The lyrics were brutal. God save the Queen, she ain't no human being, there is no future in England's dreaming. The BBC reacted instantly, banning the song from radio and calling it crudely bad. Tabloids accused the Sex Pistols of treason and called for their public execution. Major retailers like Woolworths refused to sell the single. The result? The record sold 150,000 copies a day. Estimates suggest it reached #1 on the charts, but the official music magazine left the space blank, refusing to print the song's name. Rod Stewart occupied the #1 position with I Don't Want to Talk About It. As with every attempt to suppress music, censorship played directly into the hands of the Sex Pistols. God Save the Queen became the most notorious anthem of punk rock, encapsulating the anger and disillusionment of 1970s Britain. Frankie Goes to Hollywood released Relax in 1983, a song with pulsating synthesizers and lyrics laden with sexual double entendres. The theme, ejaculation. The song slowly climbed the British charts until, in January 1984, BBC Radio 1 DJ Mike Reed denounced the song on air and refused to play it. Shortly after, the BBC officially banned the song from radio and television. The band's manager, Paul Morley, recognized the value of making the establishment the enemy. He spread the rumor that the song had been banned, and it worked. Relax spent 5 weeks at #1 in the UK before becoming a worldwide hit. The scandal transformed Frankie Goes to Hollywood into a pop phenomenon and proved that in music, censorship is the best marketing. September 17th, 1967. The Doors make their debut on The Ed Sullivan Show, the most watched show on American TV. With 50 million viewers, the band was hired to play Light My Fire, the biggest hit of the summer. But there was a problem. In the original lyrics, Jim Morrison sings, "Girl, we couldn't get much higher." CBS and Ed Sullivan's manager demanded that the word higher be changed to better. The drug was too obvious for Sunday night home television. Jim Morrison agreed, backstage. When the lights came on, Morrison sang the original lyrics without hesitation. "Girl, we couldn't get much higher." For the first time, the word higher echoed in American living rooms, defying censorship live. CBS cut the performance immediately after the show. Ed Sullivan, furious, never invited the Doors to his show again. But the story became legend. Ray Manzarek, the band's keyboardist, summed it up. "We never performed on the Ed Sullivan Show again, but we made history. The band transformed Light My Fire into a symbol of rebellion against the television establishment." More than 40 years later, the performance would continue to be discussed. Not because of the music, but because of the moment when Morrison chose art over censorship. The Rolling Stones released Sympathy for the Devil in 1968, a song that Mick Jagger described as a satanic fantasy. With its samba rhythm and blasphemous lyrics sung from Lucifer's point of view, the song caused immediate moral panic.
Pleased to meet you. Hope you guess my name.
The BBC refused to play it. Christian radio stations called it the devil's music. But the real tragedy would occur on December 6th, 1969. The Altamont Festival was supposed to be the Woodstock of the West. The Rolling Stones hired the Hells Angels as security, paid with beer. During Under My Thumb, Meredith Hunter, an 18-year-old black youth, was stabbed to death just meters from the stage. The violence was filmed and included in the documentary Gimme Shelter. When Sympathy for the Devil began playing during the end credits, the association between the song and death became obvious. The song was banned from festivals for years. Jagger even defended it. The song is an imagination of what happened. You have to put yourself in the devil's place. Today, Sympathy for the Devil is considered one of the greatest rock songs of all time, but the shadow of Altamont never completely freed it. A reminder of how censorship often comes not from the government, but from a real tragedy. What do all these stories have in common? Censorship never works as intended. When the FBI tried to silence Louie, it made it a legend. When the BBC banned God Save the Queen, it turned the Sex Pistols into icons. Music, like all art forms, finds ways to overcome barriers. And sometimes those barriers are exactly the boost it needs to soar higher. Because ultimately, you can't ban an idea. You can only try and fail.